What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we're going to be going over the 1,000 round review of the Smith Wesson Response. Now the Smith Wesson Response is a very interesting gun that came out last year, and it created quite a splash because of its mix of awesome features and affordable price. It also has some features on it that no other Smith & Wesson carbine has, and it also has a quality that very few in its price point match. Got them all. That being said, it's certainly not all sunshine and rainbows, and we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Smith & Wesson Response carbine. Before we get into the full video though, I do want to mention my patron supporters. Thank you guys very much. It's because of you guys we have guns and ammo and cool stuff on the channel to review. So if you want to support the channel, if you like the videos, just go down to the link in the description, sign up. Also in that description is a link to a local shelter named Iowa. It's the YSS. It's in the description of every one of my videos. So if you want to donate to them, it's a youth shelter named Iowa. I'd appreciate it. Just go down to the link in this description or any description and donate a few bucks. And finally, I do want to thank Smith & Wesson for sending this gun for review. They've sent many guns and none of them will change my opinion. With that said, let's get right into it. Now, the Smith & Wesson Response carbine is a very interesting gun for a few reasons. Number one, pistol caliber carbines kind of exploded over the past few years, and they've been getting more and more affordable. The Smith has a 16-inch barrel with a 1.5 by 28 thread at the front, so you can put any sort of brakes, muzzle devices, or suppressors that you want. It has a full M-LOK rail, as you can see here, with M-LOK slots on the side and on the bottom. It also has a full Picatinny rail going on the top, and then the main feature of the gun that separates it from most others is that it has a magwell adapter here similar to the Ruger PC carbine, whereas you can run the Smith & Wesson magazines or you can run Glock magazines, which is actually pretty interesting because people have been asking Smith to make a Glock carbine for years, and to me it didn't make sense, but to them obviously it did. Now up top we have a polymer receiver and we have a polymer lower receiver as well as a flat face trigger. Smith & Wesson's very interesting M&P pistol style AR grip, which weirdly enough actually feels pretty comfortable, unlike the Ruger, which did the same thing, but Smith's grip was better than the Ruger to begin with, so start off better, usually end up better. We have single-sided controls, and everything else is sort of AR-15 with the standard bolt release, charging handle, stock, and buffer system. Now I've added a few things to the gun. We have BCM stock, we have a Trijicon MRO with the ScalarWorks mount with a 193 mount, it's one of my favorites, and then we also have the BCM vert grip and the Surefire Scout. Basic setup that I do on almost every one of my carbines because these are the accessories that I like, and I test the carbine, not the accessories. Now it is a blowback operated system, but it is a lot smoother than your standard blowback operating system. The benefit of that is that it's relatively affordable to make, it's really reliable, and usually it has more recoil, whereas this one I didn't really see that because the ergonomics on this gun I think make up for it a lot, and maybe the system's a little more finely tuned. I'm not sure. I'm a shooter, not an engineer, but I can tell you the recoil impulse on this 9 carbine feels really good. Now the MSRP on this gun is around $700, which puts it in the same realm as the CZ carbine and $300 or $400 lower than your average CMMG. Now I think part of the reason why they're able to get the price low is because of the all polymer construction, except for the barrel, bolt, and things like that. But you can also find this gun for well under $700. I've seen this for as low as $550, and at the $550 price point, it is certainly a viable contender for the best PCC in that price point. Now, right off the bat, I don't love the polymer upper and lower construction. I personally prefer, at the very least, an aluminum upper. And the upper is really what matters. The lower can kind of be polymer, and even the rail can kind of be polymer as long as you're not putting on night vision or anything like that. But in this case, I feel like the upper at least should have been aluminum, but I didn't see any durability issues in the 1,000 round process. That being said, if anything does happen, let's say like it explodes in your face, like it did happen on Mr. Guns and Gears review, you're probably going to want it to be aluminum. Now, I didn't see anything like that, and I think maybe his bolt head spacing was off or something like that, but that did happen. He did have a round discharge, and it did explode in his face. The receiver didn't break or anything like that, so not too bad there because 9mm is a relatively low power cartridge. It's not like Kentucky Ballistic shooting a 50 BMG or anything like that, but it still is relatively scary, and there are carbines that are around this price point that do have aluminum receivers. Now, as far as the reliability goes on the gun, I would say that it was excellent. We had 1 or 2 malfunctions in the first shots with a trigger reset issue. Focus on the trigger when I do this. You can see like a big pull and then another pull. and it gets stuck kinda. Probably needs a break in. This is a brand new gun, obviously. Trigger stuck again. Ready? That's not a feature. That's not supposed to happen. Well, maybe it's not, I don't know. I hope it's not supposed to happen. And then we also had, I believe, one failure to extract, if my memory serves me. And overall, I think that's pretty good reliability for a very affordable 9mm carbine. Not the best reliability though. I would say that holds to the X-Tar EP9, which MSRP is around $500. And I have a 1,000 round review of the old one. I have a review of the Generation 2, and then we actually have the Generation 3 coming up. I would probably say that is also a Palmer upper and lower, but it has been, in my experience, a tad bit more reliable than the Smith. Now, the Smith is more shootable than the X-Tar. I will say that. The X-Tar is lighter, and I think that's part of the reason why it has more recoil, but the Smith certainly shoots smoother overall. If I was shooting a match or trying to win a race or something like that, I would choose the Smith. And maybe for home defense, I might actually err on the X-Tar, because for home defense, if you're gonna get in that category for me, it has to have absolutely zero reliability issues. And now I know that's asking a lot, but I've had a lot of guns on this channel that have had zero reliability issues over 1,000 rounds, and I would just err towards them over something that even had 1 or 2. Now, as far as the accuracy goes on the gun, we saw pretty impressive accuracy for a pistol caliber carbine. I will be honest with you.
Haha. You're hitting it.
That's about all the accuracy you need from a PCC, I would well think. Pistol caliber carbines like a 9mm like this is not going to be as accurate as something like a 5.56, or in my experience, even a 7.62 by 51 or 39. Usually what you get is somewhere between 3 to 5 inch groups at 50 yards. And with this, we saw around 2 inch groups at 50 yards with Blazer brass. Now, Blazer brass, in my experience, is a very accurate ammunition for 9mm, and it did very well in this, and the reliability and the recoil pulse was also very well. The accuracy was impressive, and the shootability and the speed of the gun, partly because of the Ergonomics, but partly because of their bolt and bolt system, worked really, really well. I knew you would like that. That's not bad. That's not the way that mag goes in, but... The buffer system, I think, works really well. Also, for whatever reason, the gun just shot a little bit smoother than your average blowback operation system. Now, getting back to reliability, right before I forget, we did shoot a whole bunch of different types of ammo, and the ammo that we did experience the malfunctions on were competition-style remanufactured ammo, so it's sort of hard to blame it too much for that. However, the trigger reset issues were Smith's all on its own. Also, we did shoot some defensive ammo and some 124 grain SIG Elite Performance, and that functioned flawlessly, and that's what I would say I would use for home defense. So in that realm, I think it did pretty good. Now, as far as some of the ergonomics that we had with the gun, obviously I like them because it is standard AR-15 all the way. Standard AR-15 controls. The flat face trigger feels really good on your finger, but I would say it's a tad bit heavy, around 6-pound pull, but that adds for more reliability, more solid hits on weaker primers, especially post-2020 primers can be kind of a shit show. So if you're having any issues with light primer strikes, err on the side of Federal. But other than that, I don't think you'll have any problems with the Smith. Now, the rail is one thing I want to talk about. First off, the rail, I would say, is probably the biggest failure point of the gun that I've seen so far. Not necessarily the rail itself, but in its lockup. As you can see here, it actually came undone, and not only came undone, but it sort of warped itself out sideways, as you can see right there. This bolt we completely lost, and these two were coming out that we've had to retighten multiple times. Now, we put red Loctite on those, and these 3 didn't come out, but this one came out, so I don't know if they didn't Loctite these, torque them to spec, or if this is just a bad design. Again, I'm not an engineer, but this has been my experience. I think this is a huge failure point on the gun, because if your fucking rail falls off while you're fighting, that probably won't be too great. Now, I wish it was a problem only I had, but I did watch not only Mr. Guns and Gears, but a couple other reviews as well, and I actually saw multiple people who saw this issue. So if you want this gun or you buy this gun, I think probably the only issue you might run into is this, and if you do, I would suggest JB Weld, red Loctite, something, throw it on there. You could throw a whole bunch of duct tape around this mother, and that would probably fix the job as well. Not perfect, but it'll do it. Now, the 16-inch barrel was pretty solid. It has a 1 in 10 twist, which is interesting, but it works well. Now, as far as the magazine adapter system, I'm gonna be honest, I should have tested that, but I didn't. And here's 2 reasons why. One, I lost it when we moved. We moved 2 months ago and I'm not sure where it is, and I didn't want to ask Smith for another one, and I didn't want to buy one. And two, I have almost as many Smith & Wesson magazines as I do Glocks, and I actually prefer the Smith & Wesson magazine over the Glock anyway because it's metal, and it's maybe a little more expensive here and there, but I do prefer it, so we just ran the Smith magazines. Now, there's so many other carbines that take Glock magazines that if that's something you're interested in, you definitely can buy this and switch it over, or you could buy the 700 other carbines on the market with Glock magazines, and I think that most of the people that are probably going to buy this gun are probably Smith guys anyway. If not, it's not that hard to get those mags. It's not like 2011 mags where they're $135 a piece versus Glock that's like 20. The Smiths are only a couple bucks more, and they're available in the same places. Now, another issue that I did want to mention that sort of hits on accuracy is I think it might be because of this issue that we've had here, but after about 500 rounds, we actually did have a zero shift that was pretty dramatic. And once we tightened it and we re-zeroed the gun, we didn't have that issue anymore. Say it's on. And I have to assume it's because that we lost this bolt and the rail is literally about to fall off. That being said, it could be a number of things. It could be the rail. It also could be the issue of the polymer upper receiver, because another issue is that you have a metal optic mounting system and then you have a polymer receiver, and which one is stronger? Always the metal. And you can eat these pick rails down and you can make them so they are deformed, shifted, or even they can break. And I'm not saying I saw that on this, but I am saying that I did see a zero shift, and that isn't all that uncommon with an all polymer construction. Now, is this a bullseye gun? Are you going to be shooting at 300 yards headshots with this gun? No, but it is nice to have accuracy, so that is something I wanted to mention. Overall, I think other than some of the drawbacks of having a polymer receiver and arguably a bad design locking up the rail, I think it's a solid gun. I think that if you're looking for an affordable carbine, it's hard to do better than this. And I did hit on it a little bit, but you have to remember all affordable carbines, especially in this price point, are going to have some drawbacks, where this is a very shootable gun with a solid company with solid customer service. On top of that, it takes standard accessories and it takes readily available magazines and was almost 99% reliable. So I would probably give it a B+ as far as the carbines go. I don't think I would set it maybe above the FPC, which actually was, in my opinion, a better carbine. Now, it has the party trick that it folds, but aside from folding, it was a simple, reliable, extremely durable gun that we put through an incredible torture test. Another gun I would consider maybe slightly better than this would be the X-Tar. X-Tar is more affordable and we saw better reliability with the same features out of the box. It also takes Glock mags right out of the box. You don't need to switch it. And then finally, the CZ Scorpion is a go-to for budget carbine. So if you're interested in the 100% most reliable carbine under $1,000, I'd probably check out the CZ. The Smith is a really good choice. Is it right for you? That's going to be entirely up to you, because it certainly isn't perfect. It does have some drawbacks. Overall, I think it's a good gun. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and let me know your experience with the Smith carbine in the comment section below as well, because this is just one gun with one man's experience with 1,000 rounds of ammunition. It's nice to have a crowdsourced amount of information in the comment section below, so not only people can reference my video, but they can reference the comments as well. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your Oklahoma shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.